Hello, Audio Marks, coming to you from the Sachem Public Library. Welcome to the Marks for Life podcast with your hosts, Jimmy and CJ, two casuals turned Marks wrestling fans, to give you a direct line to all things in the squared circle. Enter the ring at your own risk. We pull no punches, we hit hard, and we will slam you with all the info you need to know. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? I said!
And we're back. Hello, guys. This week is not your normal podcast. It's going to be a mini-cast because due to unforeseen circumstances, I am doing the podcast alone this week. Something had gone on with the place that we were staying and doing the podcast in, but that's okay. We're going to be doing a mini-cast. I'm just going to break down the TLC card because it was actually a pretty good pay-per-view. And unfortunately, I have to say, and still, your Marks for Life predictions champion for Raw is CJ Carl Jones. Yeah, I know. I'm disappointed in myself. I figured, there's a change in the card, and I figured, oh, okay, now I'm definitely gonna win. But go figure. Anyway, let's kick it off to the reviews for TLC, which overall, it was a better pay-per-view than, I think what originally was going to transpire with the regular Shield match, even though I think that would have been really good. But I think what really would have changed things was the Finn Balor match, because the Finn Balor match was incredible. It was one of the best matches I've seen in quite a while. But let's break down the card from top to bottom. And on the pre-show, we have Sasha Banks defeating Alicia Fox. Unfortunately, giving CJ a point in that. I could have sworn Alicia was going to win just because of how, it was a weird dynamic shift going on with Alicia Fox and how she was being presented to the audience and the crowd for on Raw. But that gets changed on Raw because now we know our Raw team captain for our women's tag team match, which is Alicia Fox. I don't know why. I'm a little stunted and, still shaken up by that, but it's still pretty good. I can get behind that. The next match, which officially kicked off TLC, which was Asuka defeating Emma, which was the right thing to do. It was brilliant. She came out incredibly strong, and I'm happy that we now have Asuka on Raw. Moving on, we have the tag team match of Cedric Alexander, which Swan defeating Jack Gallagher and the Brian Kendrick, which go figure. The face team defeating the heel team. It was a good match. I'm not gonna be disappointed with the quality that is brought in the ring. I'm more disappointed in just the overall structure of cruiserweights in general. So, I'm again happy that those guys won because I feel like those are the most athletic in all the cruiserweights. But at the same time, there was no real build-up unless you watch 205 Live, and there's no reason to watch 205 Live. But, it happened. It was a good match. I'm not going to complain too much about the quality, just more of the story behind it. This is really all I got to, whine about and everything like that. But moving on, we had Alexa Bliss defeating Mickie James for the Raw Women's Championship, which was one of the best matches. I'm doing this in my room, and my Alexa just heard me say Alexa, and it was it just made me laugh. I'm sorry, guys. Gotta keep that in because I feel like that's really funny. But Alexa Bliss defeating Mickie James for the Raw Women's Championship. It was a good match. I think that this story really isn't done just by judging how the end of the match was. I loved how Alexa was really getting into Mickey's skin by calling her old and everything like that. I think there's a real story behind it. I don't know if this is going to lead Mickie to winning the championship, but at least I like this story dynamic. I feel like this is where they need to go going into Survivor Series and to the end of the year at least. Then we have something that really honestly shouldn't have happened. Not by Alex. Never mind. I'll explain what this is. It's Enzo defeating Kalisto for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. This match probably should have, not that it shouldn't have happened, I think that giving Kalisto the belt was a stupid thing to do considering the whole circumstances of, Neville walking out and, everyone hating Enzo for it's just a messy, this is another case of why the cruiserweights are just not good, and I don't know why we have to, keep doing this, keep going over and over again. It's frustrating, me and CJ, we both expected cruiserweights to go way up, since the end of the Cruiserweight Classic, I think, last year, and it's just slowly just went going down, and I'm happy that Enzo won. I think that he could be the key to doing it, but there's something else missing, and unfortunately Kalisto just doesn't fit it, and it could have been Neville, but honestly we just don't know. It could be, who knows, it could be, I don't know, Leo Rush or something like that when he comes up from NXT, or it could be, Pete Dunne. If Pete Dunne somehow beats the crap out of Enzo, I would be pretty happy if he comes up out of nowhere, because that's a possibility. I would love that. Before I get into the two main matches, there was another interesting thing that happened overall in TLC, which was Jason Jordan and Elias Sampson, or Elias. I honestly don't know what they're calling him anymore, but Elias. I think it started with Elias disrespecting Jason Jordan when talking to his dad Kurt before the match, and throughout the entire night you have Elias trying to do a concert, and then Jason Jordan comes out with a shopping cart full of vegetables to throw at him. I mean, I don't know how to feel about that, because it seems, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be setting a dangerous precedent, considering, the whole beach ball thing that happens every single SummerSlam, every single WrestleMania, and possibly going to happen at Survivor Series and Rumble. I don't know. But I feel like that's going to set a dangerous precedent. And though I would like to see, real heels get real heat and get trash thrown at them, because I think that would be funny, I don't know if bringing in vegetables is going to do that, because if it's fresh produce, I don't like that whole spat. If it's going to be produce, it's got to be rotten. And, if you're at an arena, there's clearly a snack bar or something like that you could buy snacks from, and then once you're done with a majority of it, then you could throw it in, and that it would just be more realistic. So I don't know what this is going to set. But because of that, they got a match, and Jason Jordan won in that match, and, it still proceeded, and honestly, I don't know what they're doing with Jason right now. I think they're still holding on to the whole Jason Jordan become a heel. That's my personal thing. I don't know how CJ really feels about it, unfortunately, because he's not here, but I don't know. I think they're still holding on to putting the full throttle on pushing Jason Jordan as a heel. There's just something not there yet, and I don't know if having a feud with Elias is going to get us there. That's all I'm saying. But let's get to one of the main events of the pay-per-view, which was Finn Balor versus AJ Styles, in probably one of the best matches I've seen in quite a while. I mean, just pure athleticism and pure wrestling style types, and the storytelling that there was going on in both of them was incredible, and it ended with Finn Balor going over AJ Styles, which was the right call. That was the right call. As an AJ Styles fan, I'm upset by that, but as someone who is also a Finn Balor fan, recognizes that Finn Balor needed to defeat AJ Styles to gain a lot more credibility, considering that he was facing Bray Wyatt for a third time in this, and considering that it was going to be their personas, the Demon versus Sister Abigail, which that was going to be a whole mess. But this was the right call. And at the end of the match, they did an interesting too sweet to each other. And I don't know what that's going to bring. There's a lot of speculation behind that, whether it's an open call for, the real formation of another stable, a brand new one, including those two guys. I honestly don't know. It could be, I was listening to a podcast a couple days ago, and they were saying, it was on the Masked Man show with Dave Schilling and David Shoemaker, and they were talking about a possibility of, bringing back the NWO, and it was like, yeah, that'd be cool, but how about we just keep the old factions away, bring something new to the table. And the only thing I could honestly really think about that would be not opening up the Shield more, because I like the aspect of Shield being a 3-man group, but it's this whole Undisputed era. If they change their name to something better, and they can all be together, like those 3 guys in NXT, AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and even the Club or the Good Brothers or whatever the hell they're being called now. If they'll all, 7 of those guys came together, that's basically, WWE's version of Bullet Club right there. And then, you have a new faction. Just give them a new name, something, better. I like the fact that if they do make another faction and they go against Bullet Club, that could really spark some interesting things, because there's a lot of controversies going on this week, and unfortunately I can't talk about them just because I don't have another person to really talk about. I'm just doing the TLC reviews, and I wish that CJ was here, but circumstances are circumstances. But going back to this Finn Balor, AJ Styles thing, I think this is going to allude to some good things coming in 2018. I don't know if it's going to happen towards the end of this year, but who honestly knows? Then you have the main event, which I thought was really good. Me personally, I'm a little turned down by not so much Kurt Angle being in the match, because I feel like that's a really good present that WWE gave us, and I'm really happy about it. I'm more not upset, but was it really appropriate for being in the Shield itself, given the full vest and everything like that? And I'm like, stop being such a mark. But that's the whole reason for this podcast. We are marks for life, and I don't know. I think he's an honorary member, which is cool. CJ gave him a pretty sweet, gave that whole Shield 3-man group an interesting name called the USA, the Ultimate Shield Angle. And they defeated this incredibly stacked 5-person team of The Bar, Sheamus, Miz, Sheamus and Cesaro, The Miz, and Kane and Braun Strowman. I think it's absolutely insane, but I feel like it was a good moment to see Kurt get the pin, because it's been quite a while since I've seen Kurt Angle win matches, and it was really nice to see that. But I think for storytelling purposes, it would have been better if The Miz pinned Kurt Angle. But that's how CJ won. It's just Kurt Angle pinning The Miz. And go figure. But there were some interesting things that happened during the match, though. I mean, Kane and Braun Strowman had an interesting back and forth. And it ultimately ended with Kane getting it over Braun Strowman by shoving him into a dumpster truck. If there's going to be a Kane versus Braun Strowman match, I'm going to be pretty happy about that. That's something I want to see so badly, and I never thought I would want to see Kane in a match before. But if it's going to lead to that, because I'm pretty sure the original plan, if Roman was still there, was Kane was going to go after Roman for defeating The Undertaker at WrestleMania this past year. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love that whole match. I'm just, they needed to switch it in order to make a better story come out of it. And just a quick update on what they're going to be doing for Survivor Series, just a little nugget for you guys. There's going to be 2, the tag team match for Raw versus SmackDown, and it was pretty much brand warfare, essentially, because on the following Raw, SmackDown just invaded Raw and destroyed 6 people. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong. I think that they're trying to really get into brand warfare, and I don't know. I think that they did it in a kiddie kind of way, because I can only expect a child to really like it. But I mean, for someone like me, it's like, I mean, it's good, but you could have done better. Yeah, and that was TLC, guys. It was a fantastic pay-per-view. It was much better than I think a lot of people had thought originally, and I would recommend watching the AJ Styles Finn Balor match and the huge, crazy 3-on-5 match. Those were some of the best matches of the night. Oh, and if you haven't seen Asuka in a while, watch that one. That one was good too. But that's it, guys. Next week, we're going to be back to our normal, good show. And we're actually not going to be doing any pay-per-view predictions or anything like that for the next couple weeks, which is awesome. And we're planning on doing some interesting topics with you guys because there's a lot of things that happen, not only from the week prior to the pay-per-view, but also during the week and probably the week that we're going to be getting back on the air. So stay tuned. Keep updating. Please go on to all of our social media and just keep up with that. And thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
Thank you, everyone, for staying tuned to our podcast. Special shout out to the Sachem Public Library for the continued use of their equipment and space. Continue to support us by subscribing to us through Patreon, Audio Boom, Stitcher, Google Play Music, and Apple Podcast on iTunes at Marks for Life Podcast. And now check out our YouTube channel, Marks for Life, for our podcast playlist and new content coming soon. Please follow us on our social media on Twitter at Marks for Life Pod, Instagram at Marks for Life Podcast, and our Facebook page, Marks for Life Podcast. And email us at marksforlifepodcast@gmail.com for any questions or comments. Until next time, Audio Marks.